Welcome to China Cycle 2025. We are here in Shanghai attending one of the largest cycling events in the world. It's my first time in China, my first time here in Shanghai. And I mean, this is an hour after the show technically started letting people in. You can see it's crazy busy. This thing is huge. It's exciting. We're going to try to cover as much as we can. Let's go see what's here at China Cycle 2025. All right, so we're going to try to give you an idea of the size of China Cycle 2025. We're standing right outside the entrance hall, and along this side here, you have we'll call it the W wing. So it goes from W1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all the way down. You can barely see it. I'm not good at distances, so I can't really tell you how far that is, but it's a long ways. I mean, they've got these little tour buses that take you from one end to the next. On this other side, the E wing goes from E1 all the way down to E7 here. And in each one of these bays, so E1, E2, E3, when you walk in, you've got, I'd have to measure it, but it feels at least 1 to 2 football fields length. And so that's the size of this. It's very large, tons of companies, and again, just very impressive all the way around. So this is the entrance to E1, and it has some of the larger brands for cycling in China. You're obviously very aware of Giant here. Some really cool, purple outfits, purple bikes. I mean, Giant's huge. They're Giant. Okay, bad pun. But they're off to the right. Off to the left here is another brand that you may not be familiar with, just looking at the brand. So Phoenix. And Phoenix actually is a very large company that makes, I mean, their brand's very well known in China, over 1 billion people here, so big market. But they also, in the United States, they're most well known for the bikes that they sell at Walmart. So Walmart, the Concord bikes, they make both their analog and their e-bikes. I've talked with them, the tariffs are kind of making that a little bit hard right now. But, obviously, if they're making bikes for Walmart, they're doing a ton of bikes. They also manufacture in Europe, in both Portugal and Bulgaria. And a couple of these bikes that they've done, this full suspension mountain bike over here that they've got with the Shimano EP8 motor, carbon front triangle, aluminum rear triangle. What the sales guy was telling me, the FOB price is $2,400. Obviously, there's a lot more that goes into that with shipping, tariffs, and all of that. But just really impressive to see what they're able to do. They've even got some really cool fat tire bikes over here with Ananda mid-drive motors, Shimano Q's system, and the pricing that they told me that was $1,100 FOB. But somebody can come and customize. So this would be an example of one of the factories that maybe a larger player would come to and really, have them kind of help them manufacture some bikes. And so let's move on now. So on the right, you have Merida, very well known more for their road and their tri bikes. I've always liked the Merida brand and the colors and the logo and all of that. And you can see a lot of these bikes are just really, really kind of pretty cool bikes. As we step further here, there's on the right, there is Battle. And Battle is actually one of the brands from the Fujita conglomerate brand, which again, you probably haven't heard of Fujita. You may not have heard of Fujita. You may not have heard of Battle, but very large. So Fujita has a factory joint owned with Specialized. So they make Specialized bikes. A lot of people in our audience, you see, it's crazy. There's tons of people. But they also make bikes in the Battle brand. So Battle brand, again, a Chinese brand, sell a lot of bikes here. So pretty cool brand all the way around. As we go in, and you look at some of their bikes here. In fact, why don't we go look at this really quick? I'm gonna make Michael trip over all these people. Oh, as I hit the bike. So they've got their full suspension mountain bike. There's a couple bikes at the end here though that I'd like to show. This is a really cool e-cargo bike. One that I wanted to highlight here today is their E-Road 20 Lingmore. So it's kind of like they took a road bike and shrunk it down into this city bike with, you know, small wheels, but nice, really cool drop bars, really cool design. And just as you go through, they've got mountain bikes, they've got cargo bikes, they've got bikes like this. They do a ton of manufacturing. And again, there's just a really cool brand, really cool stuff to see. Now, these are not e-bikes, but they are so freaking gorgeous that I just had to stop and just show you. So this is Dragon brand. They've got all these absolutely unbelievably gorgeous road bikes. I mean, just look at the paint on this. Every single thing is just gold colored, down to the crankset, the chain stays, the seat stay, the wheels. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous bike. And they've got several back here that honestly, if you rode this around, it would just absolutely stop traffic. Just so absolutely gorgeous. And I love the name Dragon brand. So yeah, I don't actually know anything about the company. I haven't talked to them yet. I've not seen any e-bikes, but that's worth just seeing. So yeah, so let's keep going. We'll just walk through here really quickly and you'll see some of the other bikes they've got. As we slide through. So this one here, rotating, is also one of my favorite ones. And as you can see, they've got some lights hitting it, kind of changes the colors. And then this one right here, it almost changes based on what lights hit it. And you can just tell, like, they're absolutely pieces of art all the way around. The blue cast you've seen is from the lights below. But possibly my favorite bike from Battle is actually over here. This blue and red, absolutely gorgeous piece of art. Oh, thank you. So now all I gotta say is I wish they made e-bikes, because if you put that in an e-bike, I would just geek out all day long on those from Dragon. Right, so behind me is a brand that you may not be familiar with, Dahon. And we actually had the opportunity to sit down and have lunch with their founder, Dr. Han, yesterday. And I gotta say, I really am impressed with what they do. So they came into the market in the early 80s with folding bikes, right? He was in I believe, Cal Berkeley at school, lugging his bike around everywhere, developing laser technology. So the guy's absolutely smart, and kind of pivoted when he found out the laser technology he was using was actually being used in the Defense Department. So he got out of it and jumped into bikes. So a couple of things here. Most of their bikes that you're gonna see at Dahon at this location, they're not e-bikes, they're just folding bikes, but they got some really cool, like this one here has drop bars. They have a booth set up where they're testing the speed of their bike versus some other folding bike brands, I won't mention names, just in how fast you can get, because they have a very unique kind of bottom triangle where it's actually done with a metal wire. And so as you get more tension on it, the wire gets tighter. We're actually going to be going to their factory later, so I'm hoping to be able to ride one of their bikes and feel and see if that wire, how rigid it makes it. But super cool. They do have one e-bike over here that I really like, and I'm going to be working with them hopefully to get a bike in for full review. But Dahon, very popular brand in Asia, specifically China, Japan, and also growing in Korea. They do have some presence in Europe and the US, but not as much. Dude. That is freaking awesome, dude. Like, seriously. All right, so I just test rode the Velduro Phantom. Now this is a gravel bike with the DJI Avinox motor, and I definitely did not have enough racetrack out there to like put this up to speed. But wow, this is a crazy fun bike. So Velduro is a company out of New Zealand, and they're doing some really cool, interesting things with this motor and this bike. So this Phantom, you can actually get in 3 different specs. You basically have a high-end spec, which is about $8,500, and I might be a little off with the conversion rates. But then they have a mid-tier spec and a base spec of just the frame only at $4,300. And so that's a full carbon, full carbon frame DJI Avinox motor with all the power in the world. They're also working on a mountain bike where same type of model where you have a entry level that's just, not an entry level, but a carbon frame that you can get for around $6,000, a mid-level bike, and then a top tier bike for just around $10,000. Again, all based around the DJI Avinox with everything that you can do on it. And we're working with them to get some bikes in for testing to put them through their paces. So stay tuned because this is going to be one of the most fun bikes we'll review in a while. We are at the Motinova booth. Now, this is a brand that my guess is you have not heard of them, but they are absolutely massive, and they really have put a lot of investment into the e-bike space in the last couple of years. So I think you're going to start hearing from them more. Essentially, Motinova, they did about $51 billion in sales in 2023. They're a top 300 US global Fortune 500 company and are kind of like a Bosch in some ways. They do a ton in the appliance sector, green energy sector, robotics, automation, and now they're coming to e-bikes with motors, controllers, displays, and their benchmark again is Bosch. So this is a company that I expect to see a lot more of going forward, especially because they actually have factories in Vietnam. They did that in 2020, And the other advantage the Motinova has is a lot of that is actually automated. So this entire system, that the motor that you're seeing here, this exploded view, they do with robotics and automation to keep the consistency very high, the quality very high, but also cost kind of low. They're a newer, kind of more challenger brand in the e-bike space. And but again, they have a lot of capability, a lot of money behind them, and a lot of experience in the manufacturing sector. So I'm very excited to see what's around the corner with Motinova. They seem to be kind of right at that segment where they're starting to talk with brands now that they've gone in, built the factory, really fine-tuned that, and now it's just kind of the sales part. So we're gonna see if they can get other brands on board, but it's really cool to see another company, again, look at Bosch, put Bosch as the benchmark, and go after them in the industry. Okay, we are here at the Ananda booth, and Ananda is one of the largest motor companies in China. There's a lot of bikes that we've reviewed that have their motors, and they won a pretty cool award for their R900. This is a hub drive that has 3 internal gears inside. That's actually a trend that we're starting to see. You know, Pinion, when they came out with their gearbox a couple years ago, what I've seen is a lot of people saw what they did there and are trying to incorporate that into all of their systems. So really cool product what they've got here. Again, 3 internal gears inside a hub drive motor, just trying to make it easier for people as they're riding bikes where you don't have to worry about it, automatically shifts for yourself. Brand new, we haven't been able to test the bike with it yet, but I do expect over the next probably 6 months to a year to start seeing a lot more of this type of thing from Ananda. And one last cool bit, Ananda actually does have some manufacturing capability in Vietnam. And so as all these tariffs and everything kind of gets played out, I could imagine that we're going to start to see more brands speccing Ananda motors because they can kind of get around the tariff by using their factory in Vietnam. And then finally, we're going to be going on a tour of their factory here pretty soon. So stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more footage from Ananda. We're at the Star Union booth, and kind of some cool timing with the release of the Electric XP4 just happening, well, I guess today. My time's all messed up. But this is the actual brake set that Electric spec with their XP4, and we have had really good results with it. Now, the electric version has a little 602 on it. This one does not. So this is the 240 PYD, and I'm kind of expecting to see a lot more brands spec this system because the lever engagement is really good. The rotor's 2.3 mil by 180, and just the entire system feels really good. Again, that XP4 got some of the best results in the brake test that we've done. So really cool what Star Union is doing. They're really, I mean, the booth is really big. A lot of cool things from Star Union. Next cool thing is this system. So you'll notice kind of here in the middle, what this does is it kind of helps control and improve your braking by when so your right is your rear brake. As you squeeze down on that at a certain pressure point, it actually starts to also engage your front brake. So a lot of times I see people only braking with their rear because they're worried that they're going to lock up the front and endo over the front, but you get a lot of braking power from that front brake. So this is kind of like almost like a smart braking system where, again, as you engage the rear, once you get to a certain pressure point, it engages the front and just should improve your overall braking experience. Okay, we are back at Star Union with something that is really cool, a motor that I haven't seen before. This is a magnetic gear motor from Star Union that currently can produce 80 Newton meters of torque and weighs only 2.3 kilos. And it's very different from the planetary gears, the planetary gearbox that you see from most any other motor. And the real advantage of that, this gets pretty technical, just kind of got a crash course in it, so I'll definitely need to do some more research. But basically, because it's all magnets inside, as it kind of produces all that force, there's less heat and it can be more efficient. So planetary gearbox can be efficient up to about 80%. The magnetic gearbox, can go to 90%, possibly higher. And so it can also be smaller. So you have smaller, more efficient, and then you can also still make it quite powerful. So right now, again, this is 80 Newton meters of torque. They kind of hinted that they might even be able to bump that up to about 90 or so. And what I really see this doing is competing against something like the TQ motor, where again, claims from the company is that this can be even more efficient than that and quieter. So very excited to see what this can do in that lightweight but still full power kind of mountain bike, gravel, and road bike scenarios. Okay, we are very deep in the component section of China Cycle 2025. Now, all around me are the companies that make controllers, torque sensors, battery packs, just displays, everything here. So it's not as busy because this is where a lot of the bike buyers come as they're trying to spec out their bike builds and figure out what components they want. For example, behind me is a company that makes a ton of torque sensors. These guys make torque sensors for Specialized, for Trek, for Mach-Will, for Aventon, just a ton of brands. They use their torque sensors. That's what they do. They have some other products, but really one of the challenges for these bike manufacturers is to find the best manufacturer for each little component. And it's kind of cool here because just across the way, you have their direct competitor right over here, right? So as you just kind of walk through this area, you just see so many different amazing manufacturers that are just super highly technical on one tiny component of the bike. On this side, we have battery packs, and we know a couple brands, they use their battery packs. And again, supposedly have very good technology built into it, very popular packs. And then as we walk down here, you'll even see controllers, right? So this company, I'm not even going to try to produce their name, but you know, that's what they're known for. They make really good controllers for a lot of different brands. And just this entire section, it's just cool to see how it all comes together when, you know, someone like an Aventon or a Mach-Will or even Specialized in Trek are coming in, speccing out their bike builds and putting everything together. So this is a really cool trike from Peltech Ningbo factory, and they sell a lot in Asia, so Japan, China, and other countries in Europe, not in the US yet, but I wanted to show you just kind of this mechanism. In the back, there's kind of a swing mechanism which really does increase the stability in addition to how low to the ground the bike is. So they've got a lock here and you unlock it, see if I can do it right. Okay, so I've unlocked the bike. There's a little locking mechanism in here and here, and you'll watch, it has a swing arm. So as you turn, you can actually lean into the turn, which is the biggest issue with trikes in terms of stability. So really cool functionality. This one's a front hub motor. They've got another one with a rear hub motor. And I mean, I'd love to see more of this stuff in the United States in the future. Okay, we are outside the test track here at China Cycle 2025, and I am at the Yadea booth. Now, Yadea is actually the largest manufacturer of electric mopeds in China. So they are absolutely massive and do a ton on the moped side, but they also do e-bikes. We've reviewed their Trooper, and we actually expect that they'll probably be coming more into the US in the future. So this bike is a really cool kind of city commuter that they have. Bafang rear hub motor, internal, 2 gears internal, carbon gates belt drive, just very lightweight and just looks very slick. So the main thing with Yadea again is just how large they are here in China with their manufacturing capabilities on the e-moped side. And we're excited to see what they do more on the e-bike side. We are now at the Bafang booth, which is one of the biggest booths in this hall for good reason. Bafang has been around for a very long time in the e-bike motor space, one of the more well-known brands, and have just put a ton into their R&D and development. And the motor that, I mean, I think it's kind of their flagship for the US market is the M560, which is incredibly powerful. As you can see here, the max torque is 140 Newton meters of torque. It's 3.3 kilos, so it's about a half pound heavier than like the Bosch Performance CX, but 140 Newton meters of torque, very peppy. It's been around a couple years, but Bafang does continually make improvements and updates to their software, to the performance, and just in general, you know, it's kind of cool to be here to see all, just how big Bafang is, and just really impressive all the way around. We are back at the Bafang booth and showcasing something that I actually think is going to be the future of what we're going to start seeing, especially on kind of the city commuter type e-bikes, and that is their GVT. So this is the H730 drive system, their gear variable transmission. It has 3 gears inside that automatically shift for you. I just took it for a spin around here, and first impressions, incredibly impressed with how smooth the shifting was, but also how smart the shifting was. So it actually shifted when I wanted to shift, and I didn't have to think about it. The motor, again, this one's only 40 Newton meters of torque, but that's perfect for this style of bike. They also have a version with 5 internal gears that has up to 200 Newton meters of torque that I assume we'll see a lot more in the US market. And if it shifts as well as this one, I think it can be fantastic for cargo bikes. I mean, for this class 3 commuters, any kind of heavier bike as well. But overall, this ties into the trend that I'm seeing of kind of the internal gearbox, making it easier for e-bike riders just to get on their bike and go with a big smile on their face. I am exhausted. That is a wrap for us for China Cycle 2025. We've been here for 2.5 days. There's over 1,600 booths with I don't know how many exhibition halls. I don't know how many steps and miles, or I guess kilometers, that we've walked, but I am tired, I am exhausted, but I have taken away so much from this show. And really, like, you can just see how amazing it is here. It is packed, tons of excitement, tons of really cool products. And for our viewers specifically, one of the big things that I would just want to kind of pass along is just how impressed I have been with all the manufacturers here. Their manufacturing skill, size, and scope is something that I was not expecting. I wasn't expecting your China Cycle to be this large, but the size and the technological skill set and manufacturing skill set of all the controller companies the battery companies, the motor companies, and there's just all the bike companies really is something that has blown me away. And when we get comments of people kind of almost from a negative connotation standpoint of, oh, that's made in China, I'm just here to say that is completely bass-backwards wrong. They have some of the best manufacturing capabilities. These people are super detail-oriented and care passionately about the cycling industry. Road and gravel is starting to take off in China. And as that happens, you have 1.4 billion people that are gonna start coming in and just growing the cycling industry in general, the e-bike industry in general. And I think we're gonna see some fantastic things coming out of China. Yes, we have some challenges right now with tariffs and kind of that trade war, but I do have hope that we'll figure that out and be able to work more closely with these amazing people and these amazing companies.